Great. Welcome to the St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund Association's review of the member annual estimate and statement presentation. Before we get started, we want to invite you to use the chat feature on the bottom of your screen to ask us any questions. We'll do our best to get these answered, as many as we can, at the end of the presentation. We'd also ask you to mute yourself so we get less feedback during the presentation. Tammy, next slide, please. You might have a lot of questions, and by now you've received an email from our retirement office containing a personalized member estimate or statement as an attachment. Every year we provide an updated account summary, and if you are vested, a projection of benefits. These estimates may change due to several variables. The annual estimates are based on your prior year's full-time equivalency, earning increase assumptions, and current pension levels. It's important to review the information carefully and contact our office by email if you notice discrepancies or have account questions. To update personal information with St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund, please use the resources found on our website. You will find forms to change beneficiary information and requests to update public pension plan service history. For a name or an address change, however, please use the St. Paul Public Schools PeopleSoft system. The St. Paul Public Schools healthcare questions should be redirected to the St. Paul Public Schools Human Resources and their Benefits Department at benefits@sps.org. Throughout this presentation, Tammy is notating that in the comment section. Please utilize those as well. Tammy, next slide, please. Today, you will hear some common pension terms, and we want to briefly pause and highlight a few of those terms that you may hear throughout your career. A vested member is a member who has earned at least 3 years of retirement service credit, guaranteeing a lifetime benefit. A deferred pension is a delay or deferral of the start of your benefit payments by a vested member who has terminated from St. Paul Public Schools employment. Normal retirement age is the age at which a member becomes eligible for an unreduced St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund retirement benefit. Early retirement is a retirement before normal retirement age, resulting in a lower monthly benefit amount. Early retirement reduction factor. This is the factor by which the pension benefit is reduced. The factor is based on how early a member begins their benefit. And SPPS retirement, a member who resigns from St. Paul Public Schools who is eligible for healthcare benefits. And St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund Association retirement. This is the commencement of a member's regular SPTRFA monthly pension payment. And unreduced. This is an unreduced benefit, meaning there is no actuarial reduction from a member's normal retirement age. Tammy, next slide for Nancy to review an update on legislative news.
Thanks, Rachel. Legislative news. Unreduced retirement benefits. For members who reach age 62 with 30 or more years of retirement service credit, your benefit will be calculated unreduced, meaning that the early retirement reduction factors are eliminated. This is effective with pensions beginning on or after July 1st, 2023. This benefit enhancement is for St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund members only. Normal retirement age. Your normal retirement age will decrease from age 66 to 65 effective July 1st, 2025. This benefit enhancement is for St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund and Minnesota TRA members as well. Annual post-retirement adjustment. The annual post-retirement adjustment will be deferred for all reduced pensions until normal retirement age is reached for pensions beginning on or after July 1st, 2024. For pensions that are calculated Rule of 90, 62 and 30, and normal retirement age, this post-retirement adjustment deferral does not apply. Tammy, next slide, please. How is your annual estimate calculated? The formula for your benefit calculation is final average salary times your years of retirement service credit times percentage multipliers. Final average salary. It assumes last 5 years of salary and a 1% salary increase going forward. Years of retirement service credit. Based on your FTE, your full-time equivalency during fiscal year 2023. Currently, if you work 170 days in a school year, we divide that by 170, you get 1 full year retirement service credit. If your FTE is less than 100 or you work less than 170 days in a school year, perhaps you went on a leave of absence, For whatever different reasons you have, your retirement service credit is prorated based on the days worked divided by 170. Percentage multipliers. For retirement service credit earned through July 1st, 2015, the percentage multiplier is 1.7%. For retirement service credit earned after July 1st, 2015, the percentage multiplier is 1.9%. Your FAS and years of retirement service credit times multipliers calculated is unreduced benefit for those meeting Rule of 90, 62 and 30, and normal retirement age. For reduced pension benefits, an early reduction factor has been applied to the calculation from your normal retirement age. Tammy, next slide, please, as I turn it over to Janet.
Thanks, Nancy. So Nancy's just walked us through how the annual estimate is calculated, and she explained what an unreduced benefit is. Let's clarify. An unreduced retirement benefit is the calculated benefit value before the application of any early retirement reduction. Early retirement reduction factors apply at age 55 earliest up to normal retirement age unless other qualified retirements apply. Pension benefits are unreduced if your retirement date qualifies for the Rule of 90, milestone 62 and 30, or normal retirement age, which is based on your first employment date in any Minnesota public fund for which you have been a contributing member. To qualify for the Rule of 90, the member's age plus years of service must equal 90, and this applies to members with first employment date before 7/1/1989, resulting in a Tier 1 calculation. To qualify for 62 and 30, the member's age must be 62 with a minimum of 30 years of service. This applies to members with the first employment date on or after July 1st, 1989, and results in a Tier 2 calculation. Now, you may include service from other Minnesota public funds to reach your 30 years of service, though the benefit is only unreduced for St. Paul teachers. And some strategies to add service credit: you may want to consider repayment of any past refunded service, any leave of absence payments, mobility leave payments, part-time assignment program, or out-of-state service purchase. You can contact us for more information on any of these different possibilities. Normal retirement age. If you were hired before July 1st, 1989, your normal retirement age is 65. Members are eligible for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 benefit calculations. If you were hired on or after July 1st, 1989, your normal retirement age is 66. Members are eligible for Tier 2 calculations. However, please note, for retirements effective 7/1/2025, the normal retirement age is 65. Members are eligible for Tier 2 benefit calculations, and this applies to both St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund and Minnesota TRA. Next slide, please. So your fiscal year 2023 member annual estimate, as Rachel mentioned earlier, was already delivered to most of you. These were delivered primarily by email on October 9th. If we did not have an SPPS email address, estimates were mailed to the address of record. And please note, address updates should be provided to the district using PeopleSoft and not to our office directly. We receive updates through the district payroll reporting process, and any member-initiated updates to our office will be overwritten by the payroll files. So your annual member estimate in the inbox, it would be identifying the sender as St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund Association Member Outreach. And so if you need to look for a copy of your estimate, it should be on October 9th, and that is the sender information. And please note, for those of you who did not work in fiscal year 2023 with no reported earnings or did not have a minimum of 3 years of retirement service credit as of 6/30/2023, you will receive an annual statement of account in lieu of the annual estimate. Next slide, please. So this is the member annual estimate. Lots of information here. We'll break this down in more detail by each segmented area here, but generally, let's just go through this quickly. You receive an annual estimate because you are a vested member with St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund, and that is a minimum of 3 years of retirement service. The general member information provides your fund number and helps us identify you as a member. This is not to be confused with your SPPS, St. Paul Public Schools employee number. Your first employment date is your first employment date in any covered Minnesota Public Retirement Fund. This date is essential for the eligibility of tier calculations. The earnings reported are your pensionable earnings reported to us by the district on a fiscal year basis, not on a calendar year. Your contributions are the total employee contributions that you've contributed through the year end 6/30/2023 in this case, and it is mandated by the legislature and subject to change. The survivor and beneficiary information that you see listed, please review to make sure that your beneficiaries are current. Your spousal survivor, it would be your spouse, since a spouse is automatically your primary beneficiary per Minnesota statute. For pre-retirement deaths, a beneficiary would be anyone you have listed who is alive at the time of your passing and eligible to receive a distribution of your employee contributions plus interest. St. Paul Teachers Retirement Service Credit. You are a member of the coordinated plan if you were hired on or after July 1st, 1978. The basic plan is a closed plan as of June 30th, 1978, and we have no actively contributing members at this time. Minnesota Public Funds Service Credit. This is retirement service credit in either TRA, the Teachers Retirement Association, PARA, the Public Employees Retirement Association, or MSRS, the Minnesota State Retirement System. It's service that we know of at the time of printing, and if you look at that and see some discrepancies, please reach out. Service credit in other Minnesota public funds can help maximize your St. Paul teachers' benefits, and we will review this in more detail later in the presentation. Let's look at some of the built-in assumptions which we've talked about, but we want to keep repeating. The assumptions in this estimate assume that you continue to work until the age and years listed in the chart. So it assumes that you term on June 30th and then draw your benefit on July 1st of the given year. We assume there's a 1% salary increase from your prior fiscal year earnings. We assume that you work at the same full-time equivalency as the prior fiscal year. And we assume that your last 5 years of earnings are your final average salary or your high five. And please remember that your rule of 90, 62, and 30, and normal retirement age have been factored in to this estimate. For members who are not yet age 55 on the chart there, you will see your first year age at 55. For members who are age 55 or over, you will see your first year listed as 2024. If your marital status is single, you are eligible for the C1 through C3 benefit options listed on the left-hand side. The C1 is a member only, the C2 is a guaranteed refund, and the C3 is a 15-year certain. For those who are married, you are eligible for the same C1 through C3 options, along with the C4 and C5 joint and survivor options. For those members who were hired after 7/1/1989, only Tier 2 calculation applies. And this is for the vast majority of our membership. For those members who were hired prior to 7/1/1989, you will see a Tier 1 and a Tier 2 calculation. At retirement, your benefit will be the higher benefit payable, and we'll have an example of this later in the presentation for you to see. If you have any questions or concerns about your member annual estimate, please reach out to us at info@sptrfa.org. Next slide, please. So what is the importance of beneficiaries? Well, the beneficiary elections have an impact on your St. Paul teachers' benefits, either pre or post-retirement. Therefore, it's important to make sure your beneficiary information is correct. For retirement estimates, we need your spouse's name and date of birth to determine those spousal survivor options mentioned previously, the C4 and the C5. In the event of a pre-retirement death, your spouse is automatically your primary beneficiary. However, contingent beneficiaries may be named. If you are involved in a marital dissolution, an ex-spouse may be named as a beneficiary, but not until the divorce is final. If you wish to update your beneficiaries, we have the form available. You can fax it, mail it, use our office Dropbox, or even by secure electronic transfer. Contact us for forms and a secure link. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Janet. Let's recap the key components of your member estimate and statement. As highlighted in the top right are calculation factors, including your first employment date. This is the date you were first hired in a position covered by any Minnesota defined benefit public pension fund, your fiscal year earnings reported by St. Paul Public Schools, and your total member contributions at the fiscal year end. Secondly, your SPTRFA retirement service credit total through the fiscal year end. And lastly, if known, as Janet mentioned, retirement service earned in another Minnesota public pension plan or plans. As a side note, the SPTRFA employee contributions are mandated by state legislature at 7.75%. Tammy, next slide, please. So if you do have allowable service credit with more than one Minnesota pension plan, you may be eligible for combined service annuity, also known as CSA. At retirement, Minnesota public pension funds coordinate member information, so retirement benefits from each fund are based on all eligible service credits earned during your career. If you change Minnesota public employers, pension contributions and service credit remain with the fund where they were earned. And when you retire, you will receive pension payments from each fund. Minnesota public pension funds covered under the CSA law include, in addition to St. Paul, Teachers Retirement Association, or TRA, Public Employees Retirement Association, or PARA, Minnesota State Retirement Systems, MSRS. To qualify for a CSA benefit, you must meet the following. You must have service credit in any 2 or more covered plans and not refunded, service credit at least 1/2 year or 6 months in each plan, service credit that meets vesting requirements in each retirement plan, and meet eligible retirement age benefits for each fund. Generally, age 55 is the earliest. You also have to terminate all public service before benefits can begin. It is important to note that you must make retirement application with each fund where the benefit has been earned. And if you leave St. Paul Public Schools employment, please be certain to update our office with your contact information. Tammy, next slide, please.
Estimated lifetime monthly retirement benefits. The assumptions on the projections include you continue to work until the year age listed below in yellow with no deferral. Resign your position with St. Paul Public Schools on June 30th. Begin retirement benefits on July 1st. Earnings used in this estimate are based from fiscal year 2023 with a 1% salary increase. Same number of days worked as in fiscal year 2023. Any future changes to your FTE will also change your benefit projections that you see below. No changes in pension law that affect pension calculations. Members will receive this estimate after they have at least 3 years of retirement service credit with a minimum beginning pension age of 55. Tammy, next slide, please. Tier 1 and Tier 2. Here is a member annual statement for our members who were first hired before July 1st, 1989, who are eligible for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 benefit calculations. This allows you to receive the larger of the benefit amounts listed for Tier 1 and Tier 2. Just a note, member annual statement tiers should not be confused with tiers relating to SPPS jobs or employment contracts. Tammy, next slide, please. Member annual estimate summary. It is important to review your member annual statement. Consider retiring early or perhaps retiring later, whichever works for your situation. As reviewed by Janet, please keep your beneficiary information up to date to direct us in the event of a pre-retirement death. Let us know if you have retirement service credit in another Minnesota public pension plan so we can update your record. Tammy, next slide, please. And now I will turn it over to Rachel.
Great. So if you separate from St. Paul Public Schools employment, but you're not ready to draw benefits, what can you do? You can choose to defer that retirement benefit. This is an option for members who meet vesting requirements with 3 years of service and have separated from St. Paul Public Schools employment. A deferral is a choice to delay your benefit for a future date. Age 55 is the earliest you can draw that benefit. Early retirement reductions may apply if a member draws benefit before meeting the Rule of 90, age 62 and 30 years of service, or have not reached their normal retirement age. Deferred benefits are effective on the first eligible pension date after the receipt of SPTRFA retirement applications and the required ID certificates. You may apply for CSA benefits up to 12 months from your SPTRFA pension date for benefits to be calculated under CSA law. You have up to at least half a year of retirement service credit with another public pension plan. You may apply for CSA benefits. You have up to 12 months to do that. Just reiterate that point because it's important to make application timely with all plans so that we can coordinate your information. And as mentioned earlier, if you do leave employment with St. Paul Public Schools, please be sure to update our office with your contact information. Tammy, next slide, please. This is a line graph example showing a projection of benefits if a member continues to work, noted in the following, the red or the dashed line, to up to age 62 and all the way to 65. The 62 line is noted because we have 62 and 30 years of service that this member reaches. And in this example, the line in red shows a continuation of work. The line in blue, or the bottommost line with values, shows if a member were to defer that pension where the benefits adjust. So you'll see the difference between the values, the red and the blue, showing a continuation of work versus aging closer to age 62 and meeting 30 years of service credit at age 62. The line in blue does flatline after that because the member's benefit no longer increases under that deferral assumption. If they continue to work, obviously that benefit will increase, the service is increasing, your salary is increasing, and all of these components lead to a higher benefit payout. Tammy, next slide, please.
Life events can impact your benefits. In the event of a death prior to retirement, benefits are available to a surviving spouse if you are married, or dependent children under age 20 if you have no spouse. If no surviving spouse or dependent children, your designated beneficiary will receive a refund of your employee contributions with interest. For divorce, pre or post-retirement, please provide draft documents to our office for review and approval. We will require a certified copy of the final decree before any benefit payments are made available. Post-retirement divorce survivor option may be revoked, but you will need to contact our office for the process and the application for that. Please contact us at info@sptrfa.org for details. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Tammy's on mute.
Sorry, I need to unmute myself. Meet with us, and you can schedule your virtual appointment online with one of our retirement counselors. You can request appointments between Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for 30-minute sessions. Our phone number is 651-642-2550. And then you can also set an appointment by email at info@sptrfa.org. In your email, please be sure to include your name and a contact phone number, your requested benefit estimate date, and whether you've combined service with another Minnesota public pension plan, and any other information or questions about retirement you may have. Please also include a date and time that works for your schedule. You can also go to our website main page, and you'll find a make an appointment link that you can use to schedule your appointment with us. I'll turn it to Rachel for questions.
Thanks, Tammy. I think I was able to answer a couple of questions that came in earlier. Laura had a question about district matching contributions, and if that's not SPTRFA, how do they go about asking for that information? The answer to her question was, with the district match, it is separate from your pension contributions. You would have to reach out to SPPS HR regarding the district program and complete paperwork in order to submit for that program. Another question from a different member, does the retirement service credit begin with the first year in St. Paul Public Schools? And what if the number on the document doesn't represent that? So I'm guessing this person had a fractional number possibly of retirement service credit, or maybe they need some clarity on how service credit is calculated. Nancy, can you answer that person's question?
So if they were first employed and say they started like end of September, they may not have worked the full year, but they may have had a prorated days that they worked. Say if they worked like 165, we divide that by 170, so that would be less than the 1 year. So that's how the retirement service credit would be calculated, and you would not be able to change it or to accrue retirement service credit for the 1 year, the portion not earned because you missed from your employment date.
Can I just ask a question with that? That was my question.
Yep, so you're on audio right now. We'd prefer to keep things in the chat, but go ahead.
Well, it's not what Nancy said. It's like 3 years off.
So if it's a large discrepancy like that, in any event, we would really appreciate you emailing our team at info@sptrfa.org so we can assess why it would be not following in continuance with what you understand your employment to be. You also, if you started as an EA or a TA, perhaps that may be reflected under para service credit. That's a different public pension plan, and that would be under CSA. But I understand we would have to look at your history and review your particular document before getting to the nitty-gritty of it. Kathy had a question. If you worked part-time for any number of years, how is that calculated into your retirement calculations? So part-time years of service and possibly some salary questions there. Janet, would you try and answer Kathy's question?
Yeah, again, just to reiterate, you need to work 170 days to earn 1 full year of service credit. So if you are at a 0.8 FTE part-time, you're going to earn you're going to work 168 days in theory, which would result in less than a year. However, keep in mind that what we call your high 5 years of service is a full consecutive 60 months. So we go back 60 months. So even if you've worked less than a year, we don't consider a year of salary, even if you only work part-time. We make sure that you've worked you go back and get the full 60 months. So if you've worked part-time, we make sure we grab enough time frame to satisfy that 5 years component. And also know that the estimate assumes that the last 5 years or 60 months are your highest earnings, but that may not always be the case. So at retirement, we review your record and make sure that we capture that. And if you have combined service, Sometimes a dual high five is required where we look at salaries from, one or more funds. So we have you covered on that. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Janet. We'll take a few more minutes here to answer any questions if there are any. We thank you for attending tonight's session. We will start another session at 4:30. If you've missed anything and you want to recap, we'd invite you to join.
Thank you.
Okay, Tammy, you can stop recording.
That last question.
Yeah, that final